So after the official announcement of Christopher Nolan's next film being an adaptation of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey, we've been excited to learn more about who else might be involved with the project and details on how the director may approach it. It may still be a month or two before we learn more, as filming is due to start in the next month. But in the build up to getting more info, in this video, I'm going to be diving into The Odyssey a bit more and discussing the main story points and themes of the project. Before I get into it, if you want to see more content on the director and The Odyssey film, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the story and further details for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. So Christopher Nolan has firmly positioned himself as one of the most influential directors of the century. His filmography spans a diverse array of genres, showcasing the director's versatility, and no matter the type of film, he infuses his films with a grand sense of scale while keeping a grounded approach thematically. In fact, one of the things I've always loved about his work is how with each project he takes on, he delves into a completely new genre and applies his stamp on it in such a seamless way. After receiving many Oscars for Oppenheimer, fans globally have been excited about his next cinematic venture. And following a mix of false rumours and later confirmed castings, it's been revealed that he will be adapting Homer's The Odyssey for his upcoming project, allowing him to take on a mythical epic. The Odyssey takes place in the picturesque Greek islands during the Mycenaean Bronze Age, which spanned from 1600 to 1060 BC. In this era, it was commonly believed that the gods were not only present, but actively influenced the course of human lives. This period served as a rich source of inspiration for many Greek writers, who viewed it as a unique age where divine beings interacted with mortals, courageous warriors emerged, and legendary heroes embarked on epic quests. So Nolan is reflecting on a cornerstone of contemporary storytelling with his latest project. The Odyssey, a fresh take on Homer's classic Greek epic, will be crafted with IMAX in mind, much like many of Nolan's previous movies. It also marks the continuation of his partnership with Universal, the studio that successfully financed and distributed Oppenheimer after 2 decades of collaboration with Warner Bros. Scheduled for release on July 17, 2026, The Odyssey has been described as a mythic action epic filmed around the globe using cutting-edge IMAX film technology. Recent rumours further suggest that the director is aiming for a staggering budget of $250 million to bring this vision to life. And even prior to the official announcement of what his next film would be, an impressive ensemble cast was already forming, with Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, and Charlize Theron all joined the project. While their individual roles remain under wraps, the expansive nature of the narrative hints at the possibility of more actors coming on board. And we should know all about that soon, as Deadline reported that Nolan's The Odyssey is slated to start filming in early 2025. But this now brings me onto the story of Homer's The Odyssey. The epic poem unfolds across 24 books, narrating the adventures of Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, who spends a decade wandering after the Trojan War, though the poem primarily focuses on the last weeks of his journey. Nolan's storytelling often defies a straightforward timeline, and The Odyssey is no exception. The narrative plunges the reader right into the heart of the action, revealing past events through Odysseus' own recounting. To begin with, the first 4 books establish the backdrop in Ithaca. A decade has gone by since Troy's downfall, yet the Greek hero Odysseus has yet to return to his homeland of Ithaca. His palace is now full of suitors who have taken over his estate and ravaged his lands, all while vying for the affection of his devoted wife, Penelope. Despite the chaos, she remains loyal to Odysseus. Meanwhile, their son, Prince Telemachus, is eager to expel the intruders but lacks the confidence and experience to confront them. Among the suitors, Antinous has devised a sinister plan to eliminate Telemachus, aiming to remove the last obstacle to their control over the palace. Odysseus remains unaware to the suitors that he is very much alive. The enchanting nymph Calypso, deeply in love with him, has kept him captive on her island Aegia. His heart aches for his wife and son, yet he finds himself without a ship or crew to aid his escape. Meanwhile, the deities of Mount Olympus are in a heated discussion about Odysseus' fate. Athena, his most devoted ally among the gods, decides to assist Telemachus. Disguised as a friend of the prince's grandfather Laertes, she persuades the young prince to summon an assembly where he confronts the suitors. Athena also equips him for an important journey to Pylos and Sparta, where he learns from the kings Nestor and Menelaus, who fought alongside Odysseus, that his father is alive but held captive by Calypso. With this newfound knowledge, Telemachus begins to strategize his return home, while in Ithaca, Antinous and the other suitors plot to ambush him upon his arrival. Meanwhile, on the heights of Mount Olympus, Zeus dispatches Hermes to free Odysseus from the clutches of Calypso. With his persuasive words, Hermes convinces Calypso to allow Odysseus to construct a ship and depart. Longing for home, the weary hero sets sail, but Poseidon, the sea god, soon discovers him on his journey and unleashes a fierce storm to destroy Odysseus' vessel. This animosity stems from Poseidon's resentment over Odysseus blinding his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus. Just as all seems lost, Athena steps in to shield Odysseus from Poseidon's fury, guiding him to the shores of Scheria, the land of the Phaeacians. There he is greeted by Nausicaa, the Phaeacian princess, who leads him to the royal palace, where the king and queen offer him a warm reception. Upon revealing his identity as Odysseus, the hosts are taken aback, having heard tales of his legendary deeds at Troy. They vow to ensure his safe journey back to Ithaca, but first they eagerly request to hear the tales of his remarkable adventures. Odysseus spends the night narrating the incredible events that brought him to Calypso's island. He shares tales of his voyage to the land of the Lotus Eaters, his fierce encounter with Polyphemus the Cyclops, his passionate liaison with the enchantress Circe, the perilous allure of the Sirens, his descent into Hades to seek guidance from the prophet Tiresias, and his battle against the fearsome sea monster Scylla. After concluding his tale, the Phaeacians escort Odysseus back to Ithaca, where he makes his way to the home of his loyal swineherd, Eumaeus. Although Athena has cloaked Odysseus in the guise of a beggar, Eumaeus greets him with warmth and provides him with food and shelter. Shortly after, Odysseus meets his son Telemachus, who has returned from his journey to Pylos and Sparta, managing to evade the suitors' traps. In this moment, Odysseus reveals his true identity to Telemachus. Together, they hatch a plan to eliminate the suitors and reclaim their rightful place in Ithaca. The following day, Odysseus reaches the palace, still in the guise of the beggar, and faces a barrage of insults from the suitors. The only one who sees through his disguise is his loyal nurse Euryclea, who promises to keep his identity a secret. Meanwhile, Penelope becomes intrigued by this peculiar beggar, harboring a suspicion that he could be her missing husband. So Penelope decides to host an archery competition the next day, declaring that she will wed any man who can string Odysseus' formidable bow and shoot an arrow through a lineup of 12 axes. This is something only Odysseus has successfully completed. During the contest, each suitor takes their turn but eventually fails. Then Odysseus approaches the bow and effortlessly sends an arrow through all 12 axes. After this impressive display, he turns the bow on the suitors, and together with Telemachus and a handful of loyal servants, he kills them all. Odysseus finally unveils his true identity to everyone there and reunites with his beloved Penelope. He then journeys to the outskirts of Ithaca to visit his elderly father, Laertes. However, they soon find themselves under siege by the furious relatives of the slain suitors. Yet with the strength gained from his son's return, Laertes bravely confronts the attackers, ultimately defeating Antinous' father and halting the onslaught. In response, Zeus sends Athena to restore harmony. With his power firmly established and his family back together, Odysseus' long and arduous journey reaches a triumphant conclusion. So based on the story for the Odyssey, this brings us to the main themes on display. A timeless narrative that blends the ordinary with romance, the Odyssey is a rich tapestry of adventure, showcasing the eternal battle between good and evil, along with the hard-fought victories of its characters. This classic tale endures because of its protagonist, Odysseus, embodies a deeply human experience that resonates even today. While the Odyssey may lack the vividness found in Homer's more famous epic, the Iliad, it offers a richer and more intricate structure. This poem unfolds through a tapestry of dialogues, allowing characters to reveal themselves as they engage with one another and the divine through questions and acceptance. The battles against the forces of nature and monstrous adversaries are depicted using a poetic language that is both elegantly simple and deeply nuanced. And you'd think that this is something which attracted Nolan, who typically brings bold ideas and sequences to the big screen, but does so in a way that appeals to all viewers. Moving on, divine beings further play a significant role in shaping human destinies, particularly with that of Odysseus. His return home is hindered by the wrath of Poseidon, while the goddess Athena ultimately aids him in his journey. This illustrates Odysseus's lack of control over the circumstances he faces, highlighting his limited free will, which again is another common theme in a lot of Nolan's films. Additionally, the prophecies provided by Tiresias further emphasize how Odysseus is tethered to his predetermined fate. Odysseus stands out as an unconventional hero, largely due to his numerous blunders. There's a sense of arrogance after revealing his identity and blinding Polyphemus, which alerted Poseidon to the identity of his son's assailant, setting up a path for revenge. And his decisions also lead to doubt amongst his crew. Ultimately though, his strength, determination and resilience guides him back home, where he joyfully reunites with his son and wife. So overall, the Odyssey has stood the test of time for over 2,500 years, not merely due to its age or significance in Greek culture, but because it powerfully captures the vast spectrum of the human experience, both with the victories and struggles on a grand scale. And this is the type of story that would attract someone like a Christopher Nolan, a filmmaker that has used a large canvas to bring both intricate and powerful stories to the big screen. I think he is going to tackle such a different project with a focus on these central themes, and regardless of how he approaches it through filmmaking, it's about bringing this story to cinema in a perfect way. Many have done so with numerous adaptations and in quite the unique ways at times, and I question whether Nolan will choose to stay as true as possible to the source, or take a route like say the Coen brothers did with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It will be interesting to see what route he does take, and I will be doing a video in the near future discussing how he might adapt it. But for now, we have to believe that Nolan's directorial skills will shine through as he tackles a narrative that delves into the trauma and perilous pride of one extraordinary hero. This theme has been a recurring element in many of Nolan's previous films and will fit seamlessly into The Odyssey. Additionally, the use of IMAX technology is expected to perfectly highlight the grandeur of this epic tale, promising a stunning visual experience. The nearest combination that I can think of off the top of my head is Gladiator mixed with Lord of the Rings. But I guess we'll have to wait for more updates and set footage to get a better idea of what Nolan's highly anticipated film might actually look like. But that was my video discussing the story details and more for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. It's going to be interesting to see what updates we get during the filming process, and I guess we'll get a better idea of how Nolan might be approaching his mythical epic. I'm guessing we'll also get a few more casting updates as well, some set pics from the set, and then this coming July, a first teaser for the movie. Nolan traditionally releases his teaser trailers in theaters exactly a year before the film releases. So with the Superman movie releasing this July, it makes sense that the trailer would be attached to that film. Obviously, it is quite early though, so we'll just have to see how filming progresses and how things line up. But let me know down below in the comment section what you think towards Nolan's adaptation of the Odyssey story, alongside things that you are excited to see. For much more content on Christopher Nolan and his future projects, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.